Hey, Javier, it's a true pleasure to welcome you at the WAT series. We have been following your work for some time, and it's a work that we deeply admire. And how you have transformed the territory into a living experience, it's something that we really, really appreciate. And it's something that tells us that wellness is just not a service on a menu, but a culture that flows through the entire guest journey. And this is mainly why we've created this kind of talks, this series of talks, to show that wellness can be strategic and that can link the territory, the people, and promote connection and well-being much more and much further than a spa or a massage, which we do love, okay? And we also consider that it's part of the journey, but it's not the end of the journey or the only thing in the journey. So we really appreciate the work that you have been doing, and we sincerely believe that it's an example, a true example of wellness here in Portugal. So thank you once again. And I will ask Wanda if she wants to say something for the beginning, and then we will appreciate very much that you present yourself a little bit and what it is your trajectory over the years. So Wanda?
So, hello, Javier. Thank you so much to be here today with us. It is always a pleasure for us to have someone who help the wellness world to design a better path, I think. So let me ask you something to help you also to introduce yourself. You are a man of science. You start your career with a physiotherapy. So how did the holistical medicine or the holistical health come into your life?
Ooh. Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, ladies. I think it's a great initiative. Thank you for counting on me. It's a real honor to be able to have this conversation with you guys to elevate wellness, which is what we are all here to do, I guess. I am a physiotherapist, as you mentioned, by training. I worked in hospitals for many years until I got tired of working at hospitals. Mm-hmm. I have a master's degree in geriatric physiotherapy. I work at what they call in Portugal LARS. And yeah. I thought I wanted to do that, only to realize that that's not what I wanted to do, because that was really taking care of sick people. And it was very sad. It was very heavy for me. And then I realized that's not what I wanted to do after spending 10 years doing that. And then I shifted my career, and I had a privilege to work in a spa called the Holistic Lifestyle Spa. And this was 25 years ago. And the Holistic Life Spa, as you can imagine, 25 years ago, calling a place called spa, the Holistic Lifestyle Spa, it meant the integration of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Mm-hmm. And that's where I really learned, the principles of the wellness. So, integrating, I've been true to that principle from day one. I've had great mentors, and I learned from them. And I don't think, I think science goes hand in hand with the mind, the body, and the spirit. Now, we know much more because we have a lot of science these days. But yes. Back in the days, 25 years ago, nobody knew what was the spirit, right? It sounded cuckoo, the spirit, right? Yeah. Now we know there's a great book called The Body Keeps a Score. I don't know if you've heard about that book, but basically it's about the emotions that you go through in life are shown in your body in different areas. It's a great book, and it shows how your emotional being affects your body.
That's why we bring this question to you, Javier, because the science, we believe also that the science need to integrate all of that, the emotions, and to treat the patients in a holistical way. Yes, and definitely 25 years ago, the holistical medicine wasn't very known.
Yeah.
Started.
And I think that's, now that I'm thinking about it, we are human beings, but we're also emotional beings. Absolutely. And this is what often many spas forget, because in my experience, many of the spas, they deal with the body and they do massage or they do facials. but they forget that we're human beings, but we're emotional beings. We have feelings, and our feelings show.
Of course.
I was a therapist in a spa for 10 years, giving massage, and you go through a lot of, every day you go through several clients, and everybody's different. This is why I always tell all my therapists that it's like an empty canvas. Giving a massage, you start at zero, and don't become robots. Yes, we have to go through training. You have to do the protocols, but at the end of the day, there are two emotional beings in a treatment room trying to connect. And if you connect with that person, that shows in the treatment. I mean, 25 years ago, you could get away with any massage. You could just give any massage. The clients didn't know much, and you could just do any massage and people would be happy.
Yes.
Nowadays, everybody has traveled around the world to Asia, around the world to America. They've had the best of the best, and you can no longer get away with just doing a normal massage. And that's often what happens, when you go to a spa.
Something that we have all talked about it. It's the way everything changed in just a few years. And we believe that after the pandemic, it's something that has extra change, and that emotional value has came along up and rised so much. No?
I often say it's called the intangibles in a spa. It's something that, you can always measure the therapist's productivity. You can always measure how much money you're making in the spa. But in order to measure guest satisfaction, there is something there that the therapist has to go beyond that you cannot measure. And that's the 360 experience. And that is the wow experience. I remember when I worked in Thailand, for Six Senses. That was my dream to travel to Thailand and to go and, I traveled before through Thailand, 3 months in a backpack, going to all the best spas, learning, back in the days, there was no camera, there was no phone. So I had a camera taking pictures of everything. And when I went to work in Thailand, the first thing that shocked me the first couple of weeks is every guest that was coming out of the treatment, I was asking them, how was your treatment? And they would say, oh my God, that was amazing. Wow, that was amazing. 1, 2, 3. And I said, well, that's what I want for my spas. And this is what I always, a true story, I always tell my therapist, if it's not wow, I'm not happy. I want the guest saying, wow, that was amazing. And it has to do with the technique, but it also has to do a lot with the spa manager and, having the right temperature, the right music, the right aroma. Everything has to be perfect.
Perfect environment.
Yeah, it's not easy. That is one of the hardest things to get because listen, let's be honest, therapists go from here to Alentejo to Lisboa. We exchange therapists. They work here, but then they work somewhere else. Therapists are the same, honestly, but obviously we train them, but eventually they leave and they go to another place.
Cool.
But the experience, and it's happened to me, I went to the same therapist I had here. I went to have a massage with that therapist in Lisbon, and it wasn't the same because the ambience and the atmosphere and the noises and the aroma were not the same. So my experience was not wow. My experience was, okay, good, but I'm not coming back.
I usually say that we are experience makers. That's what makes the difference. And how do you think Portugal, it is working in a good way, or we still in a traditional way?
Yeah, I mean, I always bring everything down to education and training. And the reality is that there's not a good spa management course in Portugal.
Sorry.
You have to present.
I will cut this part.
Yeah.
Joking.
Sorry.
No. It's true what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt you, Javier. It's true what you're saying because probably you haven't heard about ours. So we truly believe that what you're saying.
I haven't heard about yours,
and we will show you ours, and then you'll see, and then you'll say if it's interesting for you or not. That's an opinion that we definitely want to hear.
Because, to be honest with you, there are some spa management programs out there, but in my experience, and I've taken 3 of them, in my experience, they stay at the very top. They don't go down to operations because they're not designed by people with 25 years plus of experience in spas. because the majority of the spa management programs and the majority of the spa managers don't have more than 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience, and they haven't worked in 3 different continents to understand where spas come from, to understand Asia, to understand American clients, because Portugal, 70% are American, so you need to understand what they're looking for, and you need to understand the kind of therapists that they have. So yes, spa management is where everything begins at. I mean, I've been in Douro Valley for 10 years now, and there's been 5 spa managers in 10 years that passed through here. And honestly, their training, when they arrive here, their training was not at the level of this property, because either they lacked finance knowledge. I am a spa management teacher in Spain in a university in Barcelona, and every year I teach 30 students a spa management course. And the first question I ask is, who knows how to operate with Excel at a medium level? And only 2 people raise their hands.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's
true.
How can you be a spa manager if you don't even know how to operate with Excel, which is the main finance tool that we use these days? So therefore, what happens here, and I'm getting to your point, is back down to training, because the problem we're having is that the spa managers don't have the respect of the general managers of the hotel.
That's why, just let me ask you something. The problem, don't you think that the problem starts there? That the general managers don't want to have a spa manager, but they want to have a supervisor or a head therapist or something like that. But with the tasks of the spa manager,
But that's the $1 million question, Vanda and Anna. What is first, the chicken or the egg? Because what's happening is the general manager is saying, in order to have a good spa manager, these are the key features that I want. Now, the people that apply to those jobs don't have those features because there's very little training, right? So you guys, you say you have a course. So imagine 50 people have gone through your course and you're teaching those things. Then you elevate those people, and then they are able to speak the same language as a general manager. But remember that 90% or 95% of the general managers in this world, they don't know nothing about spas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they come from F&B or they come from rooms or marketing. So what they need,
agree 100% with you.
So they need someone who will come and fix their problems. And it's always a P&L problem. It's always a GOP problem. 90% of the spas in this world lose money because they don't know how to operate them, because they don't give a profit, because, like we know, because we've been in this for a long time, most of the time the general manager doesn't want a spa manager. They want a person to take care of the spa, to do the schedules, to do the compras, and to do a couple of more things, and
some massages anyway, because
at
the same time.
Yeah. So that's why often what they do is they hire a therapist or a beautician to take care of the spa, and poor people, they feel honored by giving the position of from therapist to manager, but that person doesn't know half of the things they need to know to operate at a good level, and to convince that general manager, say, give me money. Why should I give you money? Oh, I need to buy new beds. Why? They cannot do a P&L. They cannot do a return on investment and say, this is why, because this. They cannot present that. Then what happens is they go once, they go twice, they go 3 times. And the 3rd time, that person has made a fool of themselves. The general manager lost credibility on them. So it's a vicious cycle, right? So that's why I'm saying it goes back to training.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
I was a therapist once, and I knew nothing about spa management. So then I became a supervisor, and then the higher I went, I realized, oh my God, this is less about treatment, and this is less about all the therapies that I know, and this is more about knowing marketing and finance and HR and recruitment. Wow, things I know nothing about.
And that is a changing of mindset, really, all about, because you have to start thinking in strategy, in terms of strategy for what you want to achieve. And usually what we find in spa managers, they think all the time in operational terms, and in short-term operational terms, not with a vision for the future or a strategy or something like that. And that's usually the main problem for us to achieve something. If you don't have a vision, if you don't know where to go, if you don't have something to go for, to achieve, to envision, it's very hard to pursue something if you don't know where to go. No, it's like that Alice story. Okay, if you don't know if you go to the right or to the left, any path will be good. Mainly,
and that's why I think, because I think we need to make a difference here, which is what kind of a spa manager are you? I mean, what kind of property are you operating? Because I started my career in a spa with 80 people. It was a 10,000 square meter spa with 80 people.
Yeah.
And then I went from that spa to a spa that we were only 3 people.
Okay.
And we were managers, we were therapists, we were housekeepers, we were receptionists. And so that's why I love working. I mean, I was miserable at the time, but I learned how to operate like that. And I know that there are many spa managers out there, poor people, that are doing all of that.
Yes.
And it's very hard to do that. So on top of that, Javier is saying that the general manager has to listen to me and has to give me credibility on top of being a housekeeper. It's really hard to do that. Really hard.
Of course.
But there's a future. I got out of that, and then I joined Six Senses.
Well, okay. So since you talked about Six Senses, what about we go to your work that you're making in there, and how would you describe the wellness concept that you've created at Six Senses, and how does it stand apart from the traditional spa and wellness models that you see everywhere else?
Yeah, I think we have an advantage when you work for Six Senses. The Six Senses hotel company has 5 values in the company as a hotel company. One of those values is pioneering wellness. Mm-hmm. We can talk about sustainability. We can talk about being fun and quirky, and the other values. But one of the main ones is pioneering wellness, which means that we have to pioneer wellness, which means that we have a wellness innovation team in Six Senses that we work just on the future of the wellness. We gather once a month, we brainstorm, we analyze gadgets, we contact companies. Like, for example, when we started the sleep program, we contacted Oura Ring, and we partner with them to track their sleep. And so that's one branch of the wellness. Now, we are very lucky because our CEO, who just retired, Neil Jacobs, he used to say, we happen to be a wellness company that has hotels. Okay. Which to me, the first time was a shock. That's a CEO of a hotel company with 28 hotels, and he says, we are a wellness company that happens to have hotels. That's already a statement. And, from the CEO down, everybody talks wellness. So that makes our life so much easier.
Of course. And that's the mindset, the truly mindset. So the difference is
it's not that we invest a lot of money on wellness, which we do. I mean, we have a lot of people working in the home office in Bangkok just on wellness, from menu design to wellness innovation team to architecture, people that just dedicate themselves at looking at the different paints that we're going to put in our rooms, because they analyze the toxic components, or the carpets, or the lighting, which is flickering light or not, which is healthy. We are working on biophilic buildings. We are working on buildings that make you feel better. So for someone who works in wellness, working in Six Senses, it makes all the sense, because it makes it a lot easier. Now, it makes it harder because then you're expected to generate an incredible amount of revenue from wellness.
Should have a few challenges in that path. So among all the dimensions that you have in Six Senses, even the signature treatments, the nature immersion, the personalized programs, even all the food and beverage that you bring to us, or the story that I already heard, that the children can pick the eggs from the from the chicken to the breakfast, all of that. What was what was the most challenge for you to integrate in your operation?
Well, what you just said about that, I think the hardest thing is to make everyone understand how important wellness is, not just for the guest, but for their lives as well. Mm-hmm. Because, we have a program in Six Senses called Mission Wellness, and that is the wellness program for the employees of the hotel chain. How can I convince you to take care of the guest if you don't take care of yourself? Starts with us. So we started this program about 3 years ago, and we dedicate a lot of time into this. Human resources is involved. And I run this committee, I sit in the board, and basically my job is to ensure that the food of the canteen follows certain standards, right, in terms of health, which means that I have to fight with the executive chef who cannot be preoccupied with the food of the employees because he wants to look at the food of the guest. But this is why in Six Senses, we always have a director of wellness, which is my position here, and then we have a spa manager. So the spa manager takes care of the day-to-day operation, and I look at all those things. We establish programs for improved sleep for the employees, in which they can take the rings home, and we track their sleep, and we analyze how they slept, and we tell them how to improve. Good. We work in Portugal with doctors, several doctors that came here and established a program to help people understand one of the main problems we have in Portugal, which is the way we eat, diet, less meat, less potatoes, and less rice. And maybe we taught them about how to implement a ketogenic diet or a paleo diet. And these are people from northern Portugal that have never been exposed to this, and therefore it's great that they understand. Oh my gosh! So I can, and we serve that food in the canteen. So we also have activities for them, and every week we have what we call the golden activities. So they can go on caminadas, they can go on canoeing, on hiking. That's bonding between departments, and it makes people feel better at the end of the day.
Of course, the connection not only with the nature but with the teammates and everything else, and it's amazing that you do that, because that kind of thought, that wellness, it has to be for everybody, is something that we truly appreciate, and that we truly it's a fight, it's a battle, because it's not something that in general works. We are not saying that there isn't concern about the people that is working. Of course there is, but the details of the well-being, they do not go that far. So it should start by there, because otherwise it's very difficult to do something. Anyway, so when you think about all the programs that you make, and you talked about the rings, you use the rings, you use the biomarkers, you use several technology for your wellness experience. How do you balance that with the technology, with the human side, not to lose connection? How can you measure and use all the technology that you do? Because you already said that you are always improving with technology. How do you keep the balance between those?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I don't think we can escape technology these days. So you have two options. We a few years ago, we realized that we cannot fight technology. It has to be part of our lives, and it is part of our lives. Most of us wear a smartwatch to track how we sleep, or our HRV or oxygen, especially after COVID. Everybody wants to know their oxygen saturation. So what we did in Six Senses is, yes, we would like to go back to the roots, in connection with nature, and having barefoot walks in our forest, which are really good for you, and hug trees, which are also very good for you. So what we've done is we have an umbrella of activities and an umbrella of things. So, most of our guests, as I said, they're Americans. Everybody's wearing an Apple Watch, and everybody knows how they slept and how's their stress levels. People have Oura rings, like you said. So technology is a friend if you want to use it. However, we do have other programs like the spiritual well-being, which is a program that we're piloting now. It's being piloted here in Douro Valley, and if it works, we'll pilot it up to all the other 6 senses. But it's known technology. So basically, it's a program in which we when guests come to dinner to the restaurant, we ask them, would you like to leave your phone here? And we charge them for you in exchange for some cards that, I don't know if it's called intelligent cards. And these are conversation cards where, you give to a couple, and instead of staring at their phones, they go no technology, and they ask questions, about each other. We have a treasure hunt for adults, in which people they're given a map, and they go in the forest, and they go find things, and at the end they finish in a spot where they can collecting beads. They make a bracelet, and this is no technology. So we need to be very flexible and say, okay, so there are guests who love technology, we have technology, and there are guests who don't look for technology, we have as well.
Well, the technology definitely is very important and make part of our life, but sometimes we lose a little bit the authenticity.
Yeah.
And the sense of the place. And in Douro, for example, you have a lot of inspired, unique experiences. What was the strategy of thinking behind creating that treatment so deeply rooted in local identity? And how do you avoid that local elements becoming decorative adds-on, and instead of that, they don't live as an authentic experience? I don't know if I make sense what I'm asking, if you understand.
No, 100%, Vanda. I mean, and it's a great question, because I see a lot of places, a lot of spas who want to be in tune with the local culture, but their experiences are not true. Their experiences are fake, because they are dictated by, a beauty company or something like that. When I came here, I came to this resort 3 months before we opened, and I was working on the menu, and it was obvious that this was wine country, and I couldn't neglect that. I was offered an immense amount of companies offered me to work with them. And you know which ones I'm talking about, because they're pretty famous in Portugal. And they said, oh, it makes sense to partner with this, or it makes sense to partner with that. And I said, no, it doesn't make any sense, because I want to be true to nature. So we had the expertise at the time. I'm a herbalist as well. So I wanted to go into the roots of wine country and understand pedras de xisto, because pedras de xisto are the reason why the wine is so good here. So then I started researching that, and I realized that the pedras de xisto, they hold heat for much longer than lava stones. So I said, wow, this is great to come up with a hot stone treatment, but not with lava stones. And it was by accident, because I started asking the locals. So to answer your question is, this needs to be true. 80% of the team in Douro Valley, the spa team, is from here. I mean, this is their home. These people are telling me to this day stories about how their grandparents grew up here, because this didn't exist 100 years ago, right? As a region, as a tourist region. So again, going back to training, going back to be true to yourself. Again, if you say we want to explore the local culture, I mean, I worked in Mallorca before, and everything is rosemary and oranges and lemons. So 20 years ago, I was designing menus with oranges and lemons, not necessarily, and the companies are going to kill me, but working with companies that provided that. If I could produce my own essential oil, which takes a lot of work and effort, and it needs people. This is why in this spa we have 25 people, which is a huge ratio, because we have people that are just dedicated themselves to produce essential oils, which takes a lot of time. Yes, I could buy them from someone else, but then it wouldn't be true. It wouldn't be produced by us, and it wouldn't have the heart and the emotional component into it.
You told us about the training of the team, and you told us about the well-being of the team and your wellness program. So how do you work with your team to involve them in that wellness mindset, it has to do only with those kind of activities, or in your training programs is something deeper for them to have that kind of mindset? Because you told us that most of the persons are locals from that area. I don't think that usually in that area there is much wellness concept. So how can you work with them to create that mindset rooted really on them?
I mean, to me, everything starts at the recruitment. Starts with when you hire and how you hire.
Yeah.
Because the most important thing is, whenever I do an interview, I always tell people this is not a job interview. This is a conversation between two professionals to understand if what you're looking for and what I'm looking for match. If they match, then we can move forward. But if they don't match our vision and our values, then there's no point in, you can be the best therapist in the world. I'm not interested in working with you. I don't care how many osteopathy or acupuncture, I'm not interested in that. I want you to understand that this is more than a job, because being a therapist and being implicated emotionally with guests every day, you have to share the same values that we do. So again, we are very lucky because we have a training team in Six Senses, a corporate training team. There's a corporate trainer that is in touch with my local trainer. That person works on a monthly basis in a training plan, and once a year they come here for 2 weeks, and I have to hire people from outside, externals, to take care of the guests during 2 weeks, so my therapists can go into a villa and lock themselves for 2 weeks and do team building activities, start sharing values, not necessarily technical training, but being more understandable of why are we here. Because listen, at the end of the day, my therapist, they do 100 treatments per month. And I always tell them, this is the hardest job you're going to have at a spa. This is not a nice place. This is not a good place to work. I'm going to kill you. You're going to work like a maniac, but you're going to love it. If you agree with that, then you come in. If some people get scared, some people don't call me back because they don't want to come back, which is fine. I've been wrong 1,000 times. I've hired the wrong people, because then in the end, they come to me 2 months later and they say, Nonda, I can't. Okay, no problem. And one of my jobs is go around and look at the people and understand. And I go to them and say, why the face? What's going on? Why do you have that face? You should be happy to come to work every day. And when I talk to guests, when they ask me, what do you do here? I say, you really want to know? And they say, yes, what do you do? I said, I'm a clown. They say, what do you mean? Yes, I make people laugh. I make all these people laugh. And if they laugh, then they'll make you happy. But if these people are not happy because they are not getting paid well, or because they are not fulfilling, like you were saying, their future, because everybody wants to be a spa manager these days, right? So I have what we call an IDP, an individual development plan, which I say in 6 months you're going to be here, in 12 months you're going to be there. And if you cannot become a spa manager here, we'll put you in Switzerland, or we'll put you in France, or in Ibiza in Spain.
Okay,
I think we have an attitude problem sometimes, or most of the times. And that's the most difficult thing to work with the teams. Yeah. That's only my opinion. And there are also a new generation of therapists nowadays who's work a lot with the energy, and they so holistic way that is quite difficult to work with them too, to bring them to the heart sometimes, because they live just in the clouds. So when we are doing the recruitment, it's quite difficult to understand exactly what kind of person we have in front of us. But well.
This is Wanda, this is why I'm guilty of this as well. When I started here, I used to paint a pretty picture. I used to say to the people, we are Six Senses. We are great. This is amazing. I realized I need to do the opposite. And now I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm telling people this is a horrible place to work. You're going to work like crazy. You're going to do 100 treatments a month. And guess what? In between treatments, when you have nothing to do, we have things for you to do, because you have to produce essential oils, or you have to do this, or you're never going to stop. I'm going to squeeze you and squeeze you and squeeze you, because at the end of the day, this is a place where we do an average of 1,000 treatments per month. We generate 250, 300,000 euros per month, which is pounding and grounding. You can only do that by, adjusting every single bolt and granny, right? So if what I realized is at the beginning, I was getting those therapists who were saying, no, I am holistic and I can only do 3 treatments because I need to be in touch with the moon and the sky and charge my energy and do this. And I did it. I'm like, okay, I respect 100% what you do, but it's not for us. That you're not for us. I'm only interested in people that, have worked before, have been exposed to this kind of environment, because we all know that there are spas out there that do therapies where they do 2 treatments a day, and that's respectable, right? 2 or 3
Thank you
treatments.
so much for your words. That's very important for us because it's really a challenge to work with the teams.
After this interview, Wanda, no one's going to apply to come and work here.
Yes.
I love it.
Or no, or it can be the
Maybe we have
opposite.
a recruitment problem after this one.
Easy, right? So if you work really hard, and this is what I'm saying, my job is to secure that, to make sure that they make a lot of money, because if they make a lot of money, I can ask them for a lot.
Yeah.
If they don't make a lot of money, then they're going to start the excuses. Non ganho bem.
Oh, you speak Portuguese already.
Not only about money. When you say that you make them laugh and all that, it's not only the money, of course. Money is good. Everybody likes it, but it's not only. You
And
talk
Anna,
about all the wellness programs and everything. So you think globally, right?
you know what I think, and I always keep my promises, which is, at the end of the day, I am very happy because in these 10 years of my career in Douro Valley, many people that have worked with me are now managers, and they started as therapists, and they are managers in other hotels in Portugal or abroad. I have people who have traveled to Switzerland, and now they're spa managers making more than me, and that doesn't make me, nothing makes me happier than seeing them progress, because I'm already retiring and they are starting their careers, right? And for me, that makes me really happy to see, wow, I remember when you started here 8 years ago, you didn't know your head from your toes, you didn't know anything. And thanks to your career here, like I said, it's not only about money. If you do things well, and I think you have potential, I'm always honest with them. I said, listen, if you stay with us for a couple of years, in a couple of years, I'm going to be pushing you out of here so you become a spa manager somewhere.
What do you believe the wellness hospitality sector still hasn't understood?
Starts with the booking, right? Starts with when the guest makes a booking in the hotel. The way you communicate, it shows a lot.
Yeah.
Right. I've been privileged to work for 5 different hotel chains, and every hotel chain that I worked at is completely different, and it shows the wellness, because the wellness is a very broad thing, right? So it shows care.
So what I'm trying to say that now the hospitality is quite trending. So everyone tried to do more hospitality wellness moments. But what do you think need to change?
Good question. I think going back to what we said before, I am so tired of seeing fake things, and it has to be true. You can't listen. You can't imagine, and I mean this sounds a little pretentious, but you can't imagine how many people copy us.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of what we do. I've seen it in other hotels. Not too long ago, I stayed in a hotel that I checked in, and I went to the room and I saw something we did in the room, and we did that 5 years ago. And it cannot be a coincidence. That person is doing the same thing we're doing as an amenity for the hotel, right? But it was fake. The bag wasn't, it wasn't pure cotton, so it had polyester in it. So that to me, it's already a red flag, right? The product inside wasn't the quality that we pay. So if we paid €5 for that amenity to be created, that person was investing 50 cents in that amenity. So to me, the people, our guests, have been exposed to these things, so they can tell whether this is real or this is fake. There's nothing worse than a fake watch and a fake bag, because everybody, a lot of people have now fake Louis Vuittons, right? and there's nothing wrong with that, but you can spot it a mile away. If you've seen a Louis Vuitton, you can spot it a mile away, and you're like, why are you doing that? What's the need of wearing a fake Louis Vuitton? Because you're trying to pretend something that you're not. So this is what's happening in hospitality. I understand we are pioneers and we lead, but sometimes it makes me sad to see that people are trying to copy Four Seasons, Mandarin Oriental, Six Senses, Aman, because obviously, and it's a flattering thing, right? Not too long ago, there was a hotel that opened nearby, and I was shocked to see that they copy my menu. I wouldn't say word by word, but we have something called the Alchemy Bar here, which was born here 10 years ago. I designed that. Now it's in every Six Senses. That's where we create our own products, cosmetic products for guests, from hair masks. We use egg yolks and avocados, and we use lots of different things, essential oils and candles and so on. And that place, there to put the same name, they have an Alchemy Bar. They have the same treatment. I was like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, it's just copy the name of the treatment. So this is why we think that we are original, that we are true, because we keep on testing and we keep on pivoting, and we say, we tried this, it didn't work, because our guests are the one that say whether they want what we have for them or not. I mean, again, I would say, we're very lucky in Douro Valley, for example, but 32% of the guests staying in the hotel come and have treatments every day, which is, the capture rate is super high. I mean, we have other Six Senses that we have a 5% or a 10%. And here we have a 32% capture rate, which is pretty high. I mean, my question is always about, where are the other 70? Why are they not coming to see me, right? But I am mindful that this is not a wellness destination resort. We are not Sha, we are not Lanzerhof. Yeah. We are a hotel that happens to have a great spa.
Well, it's much more easy to copy than to have critical thinking. But, for example, I think there is something that doesn't help too. It is, well, and forgive me already what I'm going to say. There is a few brands who give some guidelines, and hotels stay and just use that guidelines as a Bible. For example, the Forbes. Some hotels just receive that guidelines and do it exactly what they say. Don't have they don't do specific what they need, but what that guidelines say. And of course, most of the time is not what is more good for the operation or makes sense for the operation, and there's no authenticity in that strategy. Forgive me, Forbes, because I like them.
No,
the guidelines, but we don't need to take everything step by step exactly what they say.
Standardized.
Yeah,
but I think guidelines and SOPs are as good as the people that implement them. So you can just I can give up. In fact, as you can imagine, in 10 years, there's a lot of people that have passed through here, and a lot of them have taken the knowledge and have taken the SOPs with them, because you cannot stop them from doing that, right? And these people are working in other places, but they are unable to create the magic, because at the end of the day, I can give you an SOP and you can read the SOP, but implementing that SOP with care and love and understanding
takes a different thing.
Time.
Yeah.
And takes passion. Listen, everything I've learned it from traveling. I've learned it from other people. I'm a curious person, and I ask questions always, and why do you do this? And I'm fortunate enough to live in America and in Thailand, and I learn, and only when I was ready to become a spa manager, because somebody thought I was ready, they pushed me and believed in me. But I keep studying every day. I listen to podcasts, to YouTube, I talk to people. I spend every day talking to people, brainstorming from all over the world. I see posts on LinkedIn, and I said, how did you do that? Can we have a call? Why not? Like you guys, you reached out to me. I think this is great. We keep on, connecting and learning from each other, I guess.
So what is the experience? You've been in several countries and you're now in Portugal in a wine area, which is very particular, the north of the country. So I'm sorry, this is a bit personal, but how is it to change all those cultures and living in some place? The Douro Valley is beautiful anyway.
Yeah,
Thailand is beautiful too, and the States
yeah.
also, but the Douro Valley is special. Well, I believe.
For me, it's easy, Anna, because listen, I was in Thailand with six senses and I was sent to here. I'm Spanish. I had never been in Portugal. I thought, oh, Portugal, that country over there.
Yes, of course, all the Spanish think the
All the
same.
Spanish are the same, right? We're all
Yeah.
the same. We think we are better. We always say, oh, come to Portugal, So, but I came here and obviously I fell in love. This region is amazing. The people are true.
Yeah.
They are humble. Northern Portugal
The
people.
wine is great.
The wine is great.
Yeah.
No, but listen, the people are amazing. One of the things that made me stay here is, I mean, I have therapists who have been with me for 10 years. I have people working here and I look at it. We opened 7 people in this spa, by the way, 7 people. And I always tell them, do you remember when we opened? They were crying, they were panicking because all the standards, we had been in training for a month, entire month. So to me, they are my friends. They are not employees. We deal with each other in public. We deal with each other in a certain way, and behind the scenes, they deal with me. They send me to somewhere that I can't say the word in Spanish, which I love. Me mandan pau. So I never expected to be here for 10 years, but I love the country. Being Spanish helps because we are the same. We have the same feelings and passions, and you guys are much more polite than we are. We swear a lot. You don't.
Depends on the place, you see. It depends.
And I've been fortunate enough to be in Douro Valley, Six Senses Douro Valley, where we've won so many awards. And this is to me, it's still a challenge. It's hard for me to go because we are this year nominated against for 2 awards, big ones, and I'm like, oh my God, this is exciting, and we keep fighting every year because we keep getting nominated, even though the spa is 20 years old and it hasn't been renovated in 20 years. So that says a lot about the people, not the facilities. I mean, we have saunas that are 20 years old, but
big maintenance every day.
But the people here go beyond, and we know that. We are aware. So we know that we have to make up for that lack of technology or the saunas are in good shape, don't get me wrong, but we don't have the latest infrared sauna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Equipment, yes. There are spas out there that have, when I see them, I'm jealous because they have this machine and they have that, and I'm like, oh, what would I do if I had that?
Okay, so now we will get to the end of this lovely conversation. We don't want to take more of your time. I'm sure you do have a lot to do. So we truly appreciate the time that you've dedicated to us and to this talk. And we have... I think that we can pass the idea that the wellness can be strategic and transformative, and that we can integrate the territory and the history and make connection with all the ingredients available in nature, in persons, in the environment and everything. And that can lead us to a wellness concept that it's authentic, rooted, and that can truly makes the difference. And that's something very inspiring, like you said, to do and to inspire others on making. Vanda, do you want to finish with something?
Yes, I wanted to thank Javier. You don't just inspire the wellness, you make it real. And thank you for that. But I will not leave here today without a last question, because I always do this question. So if you were given a magic wand to change one thing today, what would it be? One thing.
You mean in wellness, right? Not in the world.
In wellness, whatever in wellness.
Yeah. it's truly, because maybe it's because I've been not struggling, but I've been reflecting a lot in this, that it is truly changed the vision of the general managers of hotels towards wellness.
Mhm.
I think if we want to get better in this industry, we need to make sure these people understand what an incredible job we are doing to make guests happy, which is, the spa is always used as this place to recover when the guest is not happy with the room or this, send them to have a massage or whatever. They do that in a lot of hotels. They don't do that here. But, it's funny because general managers pay a lot of attention to the restaurant, for example, right? I was literally this morning having breakfast with Lubomir Stanicic. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah.
So he's staying with us, and I was having breakfast with him as his wife, good friend of us, because he worked with us for some years. And, we were talking about how much still they pay attention to the F&B, to the Michelin-star restaurants in hotels, but they still neglect the spa, and not the case in Six Senses. Honestly, I have a great general manager. He trusts me 100%. He's very curious. He understands. He asks questions about wellness, even for himself. Which is the case. When I always get a new general manager, I always think, let's see how much he knows about wellness, how much he cares about wellness. Not the numbers, not the numbers. I want them to understand wellness from their personal point of view, and I'm always happy when I see they come to have treatments, when they come to use the spa on a weekly basis and they use the saunas. That means he cares, right? And it starts with that. I wish, if I had a magic wand, that general managers went through some kind of induction into wellness before they joined the hotel.
Oh, we will give it to you. So we wish the same, so we will give it to you. You
Yeah.
are presented now with that, so please use it.
Thank you. I don't want to finish without saying this, because it seems like a pitching session, right? Like we are complaining and complaining. But
We're not.
I've had one of the managers I overlooked before call me once and said, "Listen, the general manager doesn't pay any attention to me, doesn't give me any time. I can never get a meeting." What I said to that person at the time, I said, "Listen, do me a favor. Think, what is your contribution to the total revenue of the hotel?"
Mhm.
And he looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I says, "Yes, you are contributing with 3% of the total revenue to the hotel. So you're not that important. Think on those terms and you'll understand how important you are for the general manager. Yes, you can talk about the intangibles. You can talk about, how we make guests happy, we produce wellness, da. But we also have to be understandable that if 97% of the revenue of the hotel comes out of rooms and F&B, if you only produce 3%, your goal is to make sure you produce 5%. But stop complaining about the general manager doesn't give me any time. Concentrate your efforts in making more money, and then maybe your general manager will give you more time, right? That's also important to leave it there, because a lot of managers complain, and look at your numbers, my friend.
Well, I believe that is a very good finish for this conversation. Javier, I don't know if you want to leave us with anything left.
Good, ladies. I'm very grateful to give me this time, and it's been a pleasure having this conversation.
Well, the pleasure was all ours, and we truly thank you for being here with us. And we hope that this conversation isn't unique, and one of these days we'll have another ones, maybe.
Of course, anytime. Good luck with your project, ladies, and count on me for
Thank you so
anything.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
You too. Bye.